You all want to go back home after 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever it is you do offshore. You want to go back in the same condition as you came out.
It's not just for yourself, you've got family, friends, children, people who depend on you back at home.
There's so many guys out here willing to sort of help you spread the message and keep you safe.
Ultimately, nobody deserves to come to their work and no return in the same condition, and that's why we do this.
As BP evolves its understanding of safety, we're looking less at relying on processes and procedures alone, and are instead learning more about why situations happen. It's clear that safety is about systems and people, but people, just like systems, are affected by a whole range of factors that influence us all day, every day. Research is helping us understand just how much these natural factors affect us. The first place scientists looked was at the largest natural factor influencing everyone's life, our brains. We're learning more and more about the brain, how it's made up, how complex it is, and this has informed a whole range of physical responses. It's also informed some behavioral responses. One of the major findings is that there are 4 key states that the brain operates in. Beta is where you are when your brain is most active. It's where you do most of your processing and problem solving. Alpha is the state your body goes into when you are comfortable in your surroundings. It's where your body is doing one thing and your mind is elsewhere. Theta is the dozing off stage where you feel tired. Eyelids are heavy and hearing zones in and out. Delta is the state of deep sleep. Doctors say you need 4 hours of this every night to function properly. Our body automatically goes through these 4 states every day as a way of us surviving. It's an example of how we are always restricted by our body's natural processes. The need to understand our brain and how it affects us in our working lives has led to a range of interesting research and findings. In the 1950s, George Miller was experimenting with short-term memory, and specifically how much information anyone could retain in their conscious mind at any one time. He tested people's ability to remember a number of items. He even used the children's game Kim's Game, where objects are placed on a tray. The contestant is asked to remember them before they're covered up. One item is secretly removed or added, and the contestant is asked to say which item is new. What he found consistently was that people could remember 7 items, plus or minus 2. And this would remain the same, meaning that if another item is introduced to our conscious memory, something would have to drop out to make room. But he proved that the magic number for how many things we can generally remember in one moment was 7, plus or minus 2. Some people could remember 5, some could remember 9, and with different environments, the same person might remember 8 one time and 6 the next. In practice, this means that when you spot a potential hazard and you make a mental note to remember that hazard, you're relying on your mind being free enough to accept it. And while you're carrying out that task, all the day-to-day things that you're aware of that keep you safe while you're doing that task also occupy your mind.
It's helped me appreciate that we have very limited sort of capacity in our conscious mind, and not to rely on our conscious mind to keep us safe and to remember us to do stuff is to basically understand that, and we've got key tools like immediate corrective action and 20-second scan.
You go into the job, then you have a look round about and see that there's nothing there that could actually do you any damage.
It's automatic now. You go to your work site, you're automatically doing your 20-second scan.
Well, we come down here to have a look, to assess the job, have a 20-second scan, check the work site, and we found out that there was 4 or 5 argon bottles which we have to shift.
There's something called a trap end, okay? And it's basically where the board overhangs the last transom and the board can tip, okay? I might have noticed that in previous things and thought, all right, I know it's there, don't walk over the edge. And then someone will pass me something and I'll talk about where I'm going on holiday and I'll take it and I'll step and it'll go. So I run the risk of actually going down. But if I'd have seen there was a trap end with the board away or whatever, I'll put an extra transom in, then that would have been immediate corrective action, removing that hazard completely.
People naturally believe that they are safer than other people. The "what are the chances of it happening to me" sensation. Especially when we have a lot of experience, we think it's other people who are at risk. This is particularly prevalent when someone is in control. When it comes to safety, given the choice, most people would rather be the driver than the passenger. Being in control allows you to rely on your experience base. Where previously we were happy with the situation, we may now feel a little more exposed to the dangers. The observer always sees more. This is exactly the same in the workplace. Jobs that we're used to doing all day long become second nature, and we become familiar with making sure the immediate environment and process is safe. We are all naturally in a position to see more potential hazards in everyone else's work. Again, the observer always sees more. The same natural patterns that create the thinking, "it'll never happen to me," can be used in a positive way. We can contribute to other people's safety. However, the key to the advice being taken isn't always just about what it is. People's behaviors are affected by their attitudes. If someone delivers the advice in a humiliating or aggressive way, the receiving person's attitude will be affected, and their behavior will be affected.
It definitely makes a difference the way people talk to each other.
If you speak to someone as a parent, they react automatically in child. So you want to speak to someone on a level playing field.
Everyone's very approachable. You can just walk up to somebody, explain to them that you think something they're doing could be dangerous, or in the future might harm somebody else, and everyone will listen and put that right.
Beliefs are your perception of how things are. What you believe sets your expectations of how things should be. Your expectations affect your attitudes and how you feel about an issue. Your attitude is then demonstrated in how you behave. Your behavior or actions speak louder than words, and how people see you behave affects their beliefs. Their beliefs then set their expectations, and so on. What you believe essentially affects how others act.
If you've got the culture set up and the core nucleus, really getting mind safety and practicing the techniques, some of the buzzwords I'm sure you talked about, things like 20-second scan, immediate corrective action. The more we talk about that, the more that's used. When new people come in, they go, "Oh, I've got to do that then, haven't I?"
With the behaviours, if a new person comes on, they've been on a previous job, and say for example that the safety standard isn't as high as on Andrew, they'll come on and they'll notice the way we do things, the way we act, our attitudes towards safety and our stopping the job triggers, things like that. Hopefully that'll rub off on them, and then in years to come when the badge goes and things, they'll adopt that, and then new people will come on and they'll see the way it's happening, and it's like a monkey see, monkey do sort of situation that goes on.
Understanding a little about how our physical processes, how our brain operates, can allow us to take into consideration the natural processes that affect us every day of our life, and particularly when we are at work.
The key things about mind safety to me are understand the limitations of the conscious mind, the 7 plus or minus 2, and that's not just you, that's basically everyone. Understand that things like night shift working, stress at work, stress at home can definitely have an effect on how much you can hold in your conscious mind at any one time.
This never stops, right? So once you've got the tools, it's how you apply them, but it's about rigorous application of that, and it's about consistency as well. You've got to keep doing it every time you go on at the job, otherwise it doesn't work. It's not learn it once and do it once, it's make it part of what you do.
I think people will appreciate in mind safety that processes and procedures are impersonal. And I think by bringing in things that people can relate to, their mind, what affects behaviors, I think that will help people, move out of the mechanics of a system, a process or approach, and actually connect personally better to it.
There was 81 cases of this last year, people that went to their work, probably kissed their wives goodbye, probably says to their kids that they would take them to the pictures at the weekend, whatever. They went to their work, and the last thing that they were thinking about was that they would never ever be in the same condition to return.
The human brain is fallible. We all need to accept that we're imperfect people, that we're infallible, and occasionally our brain gets overloaded. Okay, Occasionally we get distracted and occasionally we drop the ball. I think once you know that and once you recognise that in yourself, that I am fallible, I'm not perfect, then it opens up for a whole bunch of conversations and behaviours.